Hey folks, thank you for joining us again for another exciting episode of YOMO. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast, and today we are talking about Reflection 328, and it's a new book. And this book, I don't know, it's off a beaten path as well.
It's definitely off the beaten path. This book is called I'd Like to Play Alone, Please, by the author Tom Segura. I think Segura is how you pronounce it. He's a comedian. Apparently, he's a really famous comedian. He has Netflix specials. And one of my best friends, Kevin, randomly was telling me about, like, a couple weeks ago, I was over at his house, and this is long after I read this book. And he's like, oh man, one of my favorite, he was like, Tom Segura is like, going to be, performing here. And I had to go to his performance or whatever the hell you call it, a comedy show. And he was telling me about this podcast he does. It's like hilarious and yada, yada, yada. And his co-host, I'm like, oh, I know Tom Segura. And my friend's like super into like comedians. He's always been into comedians. And I was like, I actually read his book. I don't know why. Like, I don't know how. And I was like, I'd never heard of the guy in my entire life. I literally could not tell you who this dude was. I didn't even know he was a comedian. I saw the title of this book and I was like, that sounds hilarious. The title is I'd Like to Play Alone, Please. And I was like, that sounds interesting. Okay, all right.
It's intriguing in terms of, hey, it's not normal.
Right. So I bought this book, and it turns out Tom Segura is pretty hilarious. I enjoyed it, and it was fun. I learned a lot about his life, and it made me laugh a lot. And yeah, check it out if you like comedians. I recommend it. A lot of people like Tom Segura. I feel like I sound like Trump right now. A lot of people are saying that Tom Segura is pretty good. He's got great words. So anyway, this book is about Tom Segura's life, and kind of like half
memoir. Okay.
Half comedy, similar to like that book with oh my god, the Jewish guy that was on, what's his name? Trevor Noah's not Jewish. He's South African. Oh my god, the guy that was in Green Hornets. His book was hilarious. What was it? Why I can't remember the name of the book. I did it with my wife. What is his name? Seth Rogen.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, Seth Rogen's book. It's kind of like that. It's like half memoir, half comedy book, like stories of his life, things like that. So this title is actually the first, you find out in the book, this is actually the first full sentence that his son said to him one day. He comes up to his son, and I forget the whole story exactly, but it was something like asking if he wanted to do something. He's like, I'd like to play alone, please. That was his first full sentence too. For whatever reason, Tom Segura really loved this quote so much from this saying from his son, and it kind of became a bit of a mantra for him, because I think it aligned to, as he described, like to his values, and something that he just really appreciated, and he was like, it's kind of something he's taken up, like an I don't earn for trains kind of situation, where I don't know exactly what I'd like to play alone, please means to Tom Segura. He didn't really describe it to me in detail in the book, like, so I could understand what this means to him, but I know that this meant something to him, and it's clearly means a lot because he named the title of his book after this. It's something that matters to him, and it's something that reminds him of,
just to say what we say, for train, not run downhill.
So this is so you know where I'm going with this. The reflection title, this is The Power of Mantras, right? It made me think as he was explaining this and why he's calling the book this, and the story behind it, and how it relates to him, and how it brings value to him, right? And how it aligns with who he wants to be. Well, it made me start to think about all the stuff that you and I have, over this journey, like all the different mantras we use. And you just started rattling them off, like don't run from trains, a beaver must dam, we say first things first, like, good God, we have the whole Slack channel of truisms, that we've missing the point. Yeah. Like, good God, right? There's a million different mantras that have come out of these conversations and these writings and these reflections. And here's the thing though, with mantras, they're incredibly powerful because it takes you from, how we talked about simplify. It takes a whole lot of ideas and turns it into this tiny little phrase where you can just remind yourself really quick. When I'm on the tennis court, I tell myself, be loose, aggressive, and have fun. I tell myself this before almost every point.
Let the elephant play.
Get out of the way, get out of your elephant's way. So like actually the Zen and the Art of Pickleball one, where it was like, tell your elephant, like, congratulate your elephant every once in a while. The elephant of the rider, that's another mantra of ours, right? From this whole entire journey. Or 95%, 90% monkey, 10% bee, like all these things pack a whole lot of knowledge and a whole lot of understanding into just a tiny little phrase, right? I know what you mean. We were talking about this yesterday with culture is a superpower of ours. These are all things that keep us going and keep pushing us forward. And mantras help us to reconnect with what matters to us and what doesn't matter to us. And it made me think of like the ultimate mantra from this whole entire journey since my soul teacher, Amelia, taught me along the way. It reminded me And I remind myself of this all the time. And I've written about this a lot in this journey as well. The first day after Amelia passed away, the only thing that got me out of bed was I legitimately, literally said to myself, what would Amelia do? And it was like, we fucking fight. If it's something you care about, you fight, you endure, you get up, you move. Like, I don't know what we're doing, but we're moving, and we're going to keep going forward, and we're going to keep enduring for the things we care about. Like, she did it. I saw her do it every single day. And, for me, whenever I can't, like, when I was writing this reflection, I even wrote in here, on this particular day, I was like in the struggle bus. My wife had a bunch of projects that were going on. She was super stressed out. She was asking me to take on more stuff with my son. We were in the end of the fiscal year. I went to bed really late. I just didn't want to get up. I didn't want to go write. I didn't want to do this anything. I didn't want to go on a walk or run or, a rucksack run or whatever the fuck other stupid idea that I had for the day that, challenging myself. I didn't want to listen to a book, but then I legitimately say to myself, I don't do this often anymore because I don't need to go into nuclear mode, I guess, if you will, with mantras, but like mantras are a great way to take you back and remind you quickly what matters, right? I said I don't run for trains today to myself. I was running from meeting to meeting, and I just wanted to go take 5 minutes for myself and like eat some food or sit in a chair, not have to think about shit. And I was like, you know what? I don't fucking care if I'm late. I was like, I don't run for trains. Like, it's fine. Like, it's not a big deal. Everybody will be okay. Like, and I mean, this is why mantras are so important, because it reminds you keeps you connected to your values. It keeps you connected to who you are and who you want to be. And it reminds you to keep taking a step forward in the direction you want to go. I mean, that's what a value is mantra. Anyway, I'll pause there. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, and absolutely, man. I think to me, mantra is like a map, right? A mantra is a map. I mean, like, hey, I have this map. Like when you say, what would Amelia do, right? WWED. Well, that's a map. It say, where on this map, what can I do? What I cannot do? Right. Because when you take on that, when you open the map and you take on that personality, that personification, right? You can't be wussing out. I don't care how fucking tired you are. You can't be wussing out because you see how your daughter fight.
Yep.
So when you take on the mantra, you are embracing that character. A mantra to me is like a paradigm. It's a paradigm. It's you in this particular bubble of character. And to me, mantra is something that we always will have, whether you choose a mantra or mantra will choose you. Meaning that people push their mantra onto you.
Frog.
You eat the frog and you sleep 3 hours a day and you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do whatever shit.
Grind and work hard, play hard.
Right?
Yeah.
We work hard, we play harder, blah, blah, all that shit, right? So you take on a mantra. A mantra is something that you either, because you cannot be without a mantra. That's what I'm saying. Is mantra, it is part of the journey itself. Yep. So you have to be on, like, it's like you're in the ocean, right? You're in the ocean. You have to be on a boat. You have to be on whatever boat, right? You can choose a boat, but you have to be on a boat. You can't just be without a boat.
Right.
Meaning in life, you have to have a mantra, and mantra is what guides you. Mantra is what holds you afloat. And I think
the tribe and your community, your cultures, like, I mean, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is a mantra, freedom in America is a mantra.
And the mantra, like you say, it's
land of the free, home of the brave.
It's the mantra, but it's almost like a value, but not, it's more than a value because it basically guides you in terms of, hey, I have this value. Like when you embrace the WWED, right? There are a lot of values in it, but that's one mantra. Right? Encompasses a multiple sets of values. We can think is WWED. Even for me, when I would say WWED, to me as a reader of your book, I have a sense of what Amelia would do, because that sense of that mantra itself is like, even if I'm not Chris, I can't be a wuss either. If I were to imagine, what would Amelia do in a certain situation, and I do less than her when I have more faculty than her, I feel so ashamed. So I cannot let myself say, hey, I didn't have enough sleep today. I'm not going to do blah, blah, blah. When you see this baby, it's fighting for her life and it's giving her all, you cannot wuss out because you take on that mantra. And that's the reason why I agree. The mantra is so powerful because it gets you to align, right? It gets you to align to whatever the set of core values is inside that mantra.
It gets you to be a beaver. If you're a
I
beaver,
mean,
it
you say,
reminds
hey,
you you're a beaver, you know?
yeah, it reminds you that of whatever sets of core of values in it, and you need to be aligned with it. You think about Jesus, hey, would Jesus go and steal something? Would Jesus go and shoot somebody in the head? Right? You think about it. If somebody asked that question and remember the mantra, they would not do the thing Jesus would not have done. So the thing is, a mantra is what gives us the guide without a lot of time to process it. Like you say, it's this
it's almost like your writer communicating with your elephant and like instantaneous, like, oh, I get it. Okay, you don't have to explain. We don't have to sit down
sit
and
there
talk
10
about
hours
it
trying to explain with PowerPoint. You say,
right.
hey, I don't. What would
right.
a million do? You know what I mean? What would Jesus do? Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But people gonna relate. Hey, if people ask you or you ask yourself, what would Jesus do? You know what I mean? It packs so much information and so much character and personal traits inside that mantra. When we say we don't want
the
for
golden
change,
rule,
there's a
the silver
lot.
rule. I mean,
there's so much to unpack.
Platinum rule, right?
Right. I mean, you're talking about, like you said, platinum rule, the golden rule. You're talking about the one for train. You're talking about don't the auto run downhill, because all that tells us, hey, why am I struggling against something when I have the faculty to look and reorient myself so that I go downhill? There's no need for me to struggle. I mean, the thing is, people struggle because they are self-inflicted struggle.
Yeah. It just keeps you aligned to the direction you want to go in. Like, I mean, that's really what it does. Like, it keeps you. It's not a value, but it's close to it. It's really close. You're right.
Mantra is like a set of value that personify
it's a purpose wrapped into one.
If that makes sense at all.
I think you're gonna have to go a little. I think you're gonna have to reword that one, because I'm not sure that I would say it's a frame of care. I don't know what it is. Like, what is a mantra? What is the difference between a mantra and a value? I don't know, because some of my values are mantras, like, give more than you take. I would call that a mantra, right? Like, learn something new every day is a mantra, right? Like, I don't know that, but like, I don't know where the
it's
line
like a noun and a verb. It's more like a noun, and mantra's like a verb. It works together. You have to put the noun and the verb together. It has to be one of those things when you have to use it in that combination somehow.
Actually, I don't really know that there is a difference between a value.
But I think there is.
Mantras bring values to life.
Like I say, there's noun and a verb, right? You have to use them both to make sense of things.
I think maybe mantras give values a real world connection,
Right. It's an object, but a verb modify that object in a different perspectives.
It does, because I could make one of my values.
Like you say, like, Chris runs, right? It modified the Chris in a different perspectives. But Chris is a value, and a mantra is essentially accentuate and enhances the character or the value.
It's like an application almost of a value.
Yeah, you could say that. It's an applied or a practicing value.
Right.
A value in practice is a mantra.
Yeah, like don't run for train.
I'm practicing the authenticity value. Yeah. Practice a value, like I said, but the mantra is like when you say, hey, be with Muslim, I'm pressing the value of authenticity. I'm talking about, hey, don't run for train. You're applying the core values. So it says of core values.
It says originally from Hinduism and Buddhism. I didn't know that, actually. It's a word or sound repeated to aid concentration and meditation. So it keeps your thoughts guiding in the direction you want it to go while you're meditating, right? Like while you're thinking, it keeps your thoughts on track, right? Right?
I don't know. Maybe we used the word mantra in a different context.
No, I think that's the same thing, because like meditation is just thinking, right? Meditation, like we think of today. I was actually having a conversation today with one of my employees about, because they all know we talk about our monthly challenges every day when we check in at our daily huddle, and I was like, all month long, I've been like, man, I was getting beat up, from this ruck running over the first week or so. This hurts, I was proud of myself, today, because I was like, it doesn't hurt as bad. And I went a lot longer than I thought I was ever going to be able to go, doing this every single day. And she said, I was talking to one of my employees in a one-on-one, and she was like, what you should do? She was like, you should make your monthly challenge next month to be yoga, so you could maybe balance that out of hurting yourself every day with doing this rucksack running to, just try to rebalance yourself. And I was just curious with her because I know what she meant when she said yoga. She meant stretching, really, right? Is what she meant, right? And whatever we call yoga, like breathing and stretching at a fucking studio with some weird hippie chick that's leading with some weird music going on in the background. That's what we all know as yoga. And I asked her just out of curiosity, do you actually know what yoga means? She was like, isn't it just like that? And I go, no, that's not what yoga. Do you know what yoga means originally?
I heard before. I actually don't remember exactly what it means, but it doesn't mean stretching. It doesn't mean what we think it means.
It does not mean it at all. It means it's a balanced state of emotions. That's what yoga means. That is it. That is what the Bhagavad Gita defined as yoga. It said further in the text, there's 3 types of yoga described as karma yoga, bhakti yoga, and jnana yoga. Karma yoga is the path of selfless action. Bhakti yoga is the path of devotion, and jnana yoga is the path of knowledge. None of that has any fucking. How in the fuck did we go from that to America turning it into Lululemon pants and a hot room yoga?
I mean, this is the same thing we talk about. How Rudolph came to be.
Right.
They need to sell something. Because yoga. Hey, I need you to buy my Lululemon, tight sweat.
God, we suck. We really fucking suck, man. Well, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because of the mantras thing. Like, it says a word or sound repeated to aid in meditation.
It's a trigger.
Yes,
it's a trigger to get you to focus on something. Yeah. So to me, in the way we use mantra, I think it's a trigger for us. Like, people must them. You and me, we practice the daily, the people must them, the no one for train, and I embrace the no one for train that very well. I think I should get an A+ for that because she asked me, "Hey, what's new?" Nothing.
I've been sitting at the train station for like 10 years, just reading a newspaper, and you're like, "What? Oh, I'll get the next one."
Yeah, you get the next one. Yeah. Be one.
Right? They always come every single day. Always come. We'll hop on one eventually. It'll be fine.
I think they say, "Well, what happened if they stop coming?"
I guess I just won't run. I still
want for train for real.
Right. I'll just stay here and read the newspaper.
I could go to rocks.
Right. I'll do something.
Infinite possibility for me to do. So, I mean, why would they say, well, if you don't run for train, there will be no more train?
Right.
Okay. The thing is, the question people don't realize and ask themselves is, it's okay for not to get on a train.
Right.
There's not just one way to do something with a train. Hey, what does the train do? It takes people from A to point B. But is that the only way?
No.
Right? So why should I run for train? So if it doesn't
align
with you, there's no need for you to run for train at all.
That mantra personally is the one that I'm furthest away from internalizing, but also the one that I would personally like to, as like on a personal quest, to try to get better at in my own life. Like I think of like this whole pickleball thing, that I'm trying to work on right now. And like a part of me wants to go and do what Chris does, which is go fucking hunt this guy down that owns this facility and be like, yo, like, let's sit the fuck down, get an answer. Let's talk about this shit. Because if I don't get this, then this isn't going to happen, and that's not going to happen. And now you're fucking with my whole plan here. It's like, okay, look, things will happen or they won't happen.
It's not.
Drew's going to get done with the technology side of it when Drew gets done with it. In the meantime, people can just play. There's this facility that just opened up on the south side of Indianapolis that is called Zip City. You know why it's called Zip City?
Fast?
No, it's a indoor zip line park. It used to. This is right next to my parents' house. I mean, I grew up next to this place. They built it. I want to say I was probably still in grade school when they built this place. It's this massive indoor soccer facility, and it had like 12 basketball courts in it because Indiana, we love our basketball. And then it had, what did it have in the back? It was some other athletic. I think it was volleyball. It had volleyball courts and it had basketball courts, and then it had an indoor soccer stadium, and it was like this indoor sports park, right? It was called Indy Sports Park, was what it originally was called. Indy Sports Park didn't apparently do good enough. So I came home one time driving by my parents' house, and I kind of have to go that way when I go by this place because it's maybe like 2 minutes from their house. And I saw it was called Zip City one day. And I was like, what the fuck is Zip City? Indy Sports Park was now Zip City. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And I've never been in this place. I have no idea what it is. Eventually I looked it up. It's like an indoor laser tag and like zip lining. Like they turned this place that used to be called Indy Sports Park with like indoor soccer and basketball and volleyball and other sports into a zip line fucking indoor ziplining place, right? And I'm like, okay, that's weird, but fine. So now the pickleball fad is in full swing, right? Like, and there's a lot of people that are trying to find spaces for these things. Well, Zip City, if you turn this whole entire fucking place into a pickleball facility, you could probably fit, I don't even know, maybe like 60 courts of pickleball in there.
Wow.
I mean, it's huge.
It can be Pickleball City.
Could be Pickleball City. Well, so Zip City turned one tiny portion of their facility into like 9 courts, and it just opened like 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. And it's right next to my parents' house. I was going to pick up Luca the other day, and because my sister was in town and my little nieces and nephews were over, my parents were like, Luca should stay here, and hang out with his cousins. And we're like, okay, fine. So like we left him. We went over for dinner on Saturday, left him, picked him up on Sunday. On Sunday morning, I'm driving back. This is Sunday morning, 10 a.m. I'm driving on my way to go pick up Luca. And I was like, you know what? I want to swing by this Zip City place. I heard they just opened. I was like, I just want to see what their operation looks like. I walk in. I shit you not. There's like every court, probably 8 out of the 9 courts are full. There's this one dude that's sitting at the register, when you walk in, and he's like, "Are you here for pickleball?" It was because you have this whole zipline park,
Like, nobody's go for pickleball.
And then you have all these pickleball courts filled on at 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? So my point being of why I'm even sharing this story is if you build it, they will come, in my opinion. In this regard, I'm not worried about this. It'll happen when it happens.
This is the mantra, the auto run around here, because you have all this demand and this fad is on full swing. And so to me, it's like, why do you need a fucking business plan?
Go over to Zip City. Like, what the fuck is Zip City? Why did they put pickleball courts in there? Probably because they were like, well, we don't make money with our zip. I guess we should probably try to make some money and like throw some courts in here, because people are like, hey, you got a big facility. Like, why don't you throw some courts in here? Sure, we can do that. Anyway, it was, I don't even know, I'm sidetracked. Like, it was I forget it. Why did we just talk? Oh, don't run for trains. That's what we were talking about. That
right.
It's just a good reminder to just chill. Like, things will happen when they happen, or they don't. Like, we tried to force the issue.
But then this is the mantra that I'm practicing as well, because like I say, if you say yes, you have to say no.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
If you say no, you have to say yes. What I mean by that, if you say yes to this, you have to do everything else.
Right.
And if you say no to this one, you're potentially saying yes to something else.
Right.
Because you are leaving yourself that option to say, well, when I find the right one, I'm going to say yes. Because the moment you say yes to that one, you say no. So that's the thing, that's a mantra as well, because you have to understand that there is sometimes the universe conspires to help you.
Yep. I just realized I wasn't sharing my screen anymore.
But the thing is, that's what I'm saying is, it has to align for it to conspire to help you.
Right.
If you do things that isn't aligned with who you are and not your nature, it's not aligned with your nature. That is your nature. If it doesn't align with your nature, you're not going to fare well.
Website.
Like Zip City is pickleball now. I don't think they're making any money doing zipline.
Here's the ropes course. Yeah, it's good God. Like, I mean, what do they even do here? God, how do they even make money? How did they make money?
Don't have a daily price for each person?
1 hour jump.
Wow.
I don't even know. Who the fuck goes to a zipline place like all day long? Like, you want to talk about a business plan failure? Like, this motherfucker would be like, you're gonna put a zip line? How much is the capital to put in all this zip line bullshit into a fucking facility, and all the
it's a large facility too. It's
facility. Let me see if you can get like a Google image of
Zip City.
Where's the outside?
Google Map.
Why will they never show you a goddamn? Oh, how do you zoom out?
There we go. It's the short side.
Yeah, you're not seeing this is the the short side. Yeah, and you got
the short side, because the way the roof works is that the other way can extend indefinitely.
Yeah,
you can only extend so far because of the loading, the beam, the horizontal beam that you can put on load. So this is short side for sure.
All right. What's your final thoughts on mantras?
Mantra is good. Just do it.
Just do it is
Just
a
do it
mantra.
is a mantra.
Hey, Nike did really good with their mantra.
You don't mess with Texas is also a mantra.
That is true.
I mean, and it works.
Right.
Mantra is powerful. I really agree with that.
It just reminds you, like, don't mess with Texas is a great example. I mean, my wife's from there. All my exes live in Texas, right?
Don't mess with Texas.
What was that song that the stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. Deep in the heart of Texas. That's the other one. Anyway, all right. Mantras are important and they're powerful. So
mantra is something that you have to have. It's not, you cannot be without. So it depends on the mantra you chose or someone chose for you.
And culture. And cultures have to have mantras.
And culture too.
To help connect everybody to a commonality of going, oh, okay, all right, yeah, Beaver must stand. Yeah, we get it. Focus on your values, Clubany, right? Okay, all right, fair enough. All right, we get it. Yeah, focus on your values. Salesforce, it's the Ohana. That's I mean, that really is their mantra.
It's so cheesy,
Not really.
I saw it, bro.
When your mantras are not mantras, then you're a hypocrite, and then it's like everybody.
And that's your mantra.
Yeah, right. And that's your mantra. If we walked around a club every day going, focus on your values, and then we were like, fuck values, this is fucking bullshit. You'd be like, what the fuck is going on here? Yeah. Thanks for joining, everyone, and we appreciate it, and we will see you tomorrow.
Sounds good. Good night, everybody.